Look at you, you found season 2 of How the Heck Have You Been? This is the intro where I tell you what the show is about, and that is, I call up somebody I haven't talked to forever and catch up with them for about an hour. That's it. I'm going to have a short little ad at the end of every episode, but until then, if you want to support the show, go to artbymarker.com and buy some cool art. So without further ado, here's a little intro music and the show. All right, second season. I got a great one right out of the gates. My interview with Lauren Danhof, whom you might remember as Lauren Denson if you went to school with us. She has a new book out. That's the second half of our conversation. And the first half of our conversation was largely us being self-effacing about how nerdy we were in junior high and high school. So enjoy our conversation. But before you do, please go to the description and pre-order Lauren's book, which is coming out in just a couple months in August of 2023, depending on when you're listening to this. It's a really good book. You should pre-order it or order it if it's already out. Thanks, guys. Hope you enjoy our conversation. Oh, is that Lauren? Oh my gosh, Lauren Danhof, whom I have not seen in years.
I know it's been like 45 years?
It's been at least 45 years. How's it go? How the heck have you been?
I have been great. How have you been?
I've been good. Okay, full disclosure, this is a bit of a disingenuous episode because when did we just see? We saw each other 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
And then a month before that, and then a month before that. But, I mean, we're like OG Hearst Junior High, Big Five, Carmel, Lauren, Laura, Toby, and Mark. And we I think most people who went there during those years will agree. We dominated the social.
We were very popular.
We were super popular. We were
we were at the
top. But we have been in a writing group together that has met monthly, which is one of them. I mean, I'm pretty proud of us. We've been meeting for I think almost exactly 10 years now. It's coming up on 10.
Yeah.
And with the exception of COVID, in which we actually did this as we're doing right now, you and Laura and Ariane and I would do virtual meetings even during COVID. So I'm just happy. And now you have a book coming out,
Yay!
Which you've done the thing, and now the pipe dream is no longer a pipe dream. So now the rest of us need to get our butts in gear and finish some manuscripts and send them off. But let's rewind, Lauren. Let's go back to the beginning. Hearst Junior High. We met in 7th grade-ish.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember why. I know Toby and I were in PE together, and speaking of being super popular, PE, right?
Exactly.
And then I'm trying to remember, how did we? I must have been in Miss Banner's class, but that wasn't until 9th grade.
No, I will tell you my first memories of you and Toby was 7th grade in Miss Dunn's class, I believe.
Okay. Yep.
And yeah, I remember you in that class. I don't have any distinctive memories though. And then I remember you guys playing Pokemon a lot.
No, that would be. I remember us playing football or something, right? Oh yeah, we did. We definitely dabbled in some Pokemon cards.
And I was like, "Look at those nerds."
My people. That's what you said. That's what you and Laura. Yes, my people.
But then it was actually 8th grade, and our friend Carmel and I decided we were going to throw a Halloween party.
Oh,
and
yeah.
invite the whole class. And so I remember for weeks leading up to that, you were really excited. And did you have braces?
No.
Or am I imagining that? I don't know. You were really excited. And I just remember you coming up and I was like, I don't know you that well, but you kept saying, I'm going to be a schizophrenic priest.
I don't know about that. Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe. That sounds like something I would say. I don't remember.
Yeah, and then you built it up, and then when you actually came, you just had a black robe on, and I was kind of disappointed.
Yeah. That's my brand, is build up and then disappoint. hype, and then don't deliver. It's worked so far. Just ask Sally. Now, okay, but Carmel also had a birthday party, right? Because I interviewed Conrad Hartman, who played at her birthday party, I think. Or was that the Halloween party?
I think it was the Halloween
Okay, maybe
party.
it was. Maybe it was. He may have even said that, but I could have sworn he had said it was a birthday party.
Yeah.
But I do remember that. That was a good night. So that kind of solidified us. And then we both had Mrs. Pamela Banner for 8th and ninth grade GT English, which we should get into as well. And Miss Pabless, I was just writing down some bullet points because you and I were the lead roles in the ninth grade play.
Yes.
What was it? Frankenstein Slept Here.
Yes.
And what was my role? Victor Frankenstein. And then who were you?
I was an old lady that came to the mansion,
Oh, okay, so
and
you were the
I don't even, yeah.
non-fantastical main character. And Laura, Toby read for it, and he got the part of the Invisible Man
Mm-hmm.
because he could just read it off stage, which was nice. I think he was always a
Yeah.
bit salty about that.
Yeah. I think that was the peak of my theatrical career.
Well, okay, and then so much like many actors and actresses out there, we spent a year acting, and then we got into directing because
Mm-hmm.
when we graduated, whatever, junior high, when we were in 10th grade, I asked Miss Pabless if we could just write and direct the next year's play. She was like, "Sure, that sounds free." So, because then she didn't have to pay for it, and she didn't have to spend as much time directing. Which, looking back, I was so excited, but I'm like, "Oh, that was just like a break for her."
Yeah.
And so I don't remember who. I know. I think I did most of the writing. Did you help with the writing process, or
I
just
don't
with
believe
the
so. I
directing?
think you had written it.
It was super profound and complex. It
I
was.
have no memory
You
of
don't
it.
remember that? Because I remember we at least once or twice a week after school we would go and direct it with the current ninth graders at Hurst
Yeah,
Junior
I mean, I
High.
remember doing it. I just don't remember the plot at all.
It was called One Cashier Short of a Supermarket,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
it was a bunch of just cut and paste stereotypical characters put into a situation where they get trapped in a supermarket and
Mm-hmm.
antics ensue and really developed character arcs. I'm sure we're in that. I have a script somewhere still, almost busted it
Yes.
out, but
We wrote quite a few scripts.
yes. So you and Laura and Carmel introduced Toby and me to like musical theater. I know we went to see Phantom of the Opera and Jekyll and Hyde. Maybe Christian Tobler remembers this because I remember going to watch. It was like I think it was the last Broadway performance of Jekyll and Hyde, and it had what's his face.
David Hasselhoff.
David Hasselhoff was playing the
This
eponymous
was,
character, and that was greatness.
yeah,
So
that would have been pre-drunk cheeseburger, David Hasselhoff.
yes. For those keeping track of the meme timelines here, but she was like the only one who had access to like pay-per-view channel that it was on, and so we just randomly were
Hmm.
like, "Hey, can we come over to your house and watch it?" I don't even think Christian was there. He was just like, "I'm gonna
I
peace out."
recorded it on VHS
Nice.
to watch later.
I remember a lot of vibrato in that performance. A
Yes.
lot of vibrato. Sorry, I think I said bravado.
I remember him being really sweaty.
I mean, really,
Not in a good way.
if you want David Hasselhoff, I mean, you want the sweaty David Hasselhoff. That's him at his peak. Okay, and then, so just to give people who may not know us very well, or you and our friends very well, a taste of what kind of people we were. You also threw a Bastille Day party,
I sure did.
and was that you and Carmel together? I'm sure, and Laura, I
Yes.
guess, all of
And
the
Laura
usual
and
suspects.
Catlin
And for those who don't know, Bastille Day is the day that the Bastille was
stormed.
stormed and freed, and all the prisoners were freed during the
Basically, the kickoff of the French Revolution.
yeah. And of course, I had never heard of this before. Y'all really brought a lot of culture to my life, which
Mm. Yeah, I mean, like 18th century French and British culture.
well, which is funny because that probably was before we read A Tale of Two Cities with Miss
Uh-huh.
Banner, and that book is what got me interested in literature and English, and I'm an English teacher to this day, so it really did. I mean, it really did impact me. So I'm half joking, but also half like, before that, I literally was just playing Pokemon cards and watching Batman Begins not Begins, that was the movie. What was it? What was the old animated? You don't know because it's not cultured. Batman, it was the one where Batman's old and he's taking care of the new kid. Like the new kid is a Batman anyway.
No.
People are screaming at their podcasts right
So
now.
so I brought culture to you,
Mm-hmm.
and
Now
in
here's where you
return,
tell a thing, but I enriched your life.
sure, before that point, I had never spoken to a boy before.
There you go.
And then you and Toby, it was like a package deal.
Yeah, and if which is you should be proud of yourself because if there is any more like imposing male figures,
Mm-hmm.
like you were really like Toby and I were so had so much machismo.
Yeah. Now they say that young adolescents tend to gravitate towards non-threatening types, and
Hold on, okay, hold on. What's non-threatening about a choreographed lightsaber battle
mm,
that we only
you're right.
I think we had like 8 moves in, and then we never did anything past that. Toby and I. Good times. All right, so yeah, so Miss Banner, we read Tale of Two Cities. We read To Kill a Mockingbird. Those
Hmm.
are the two big ones. In fact, one of my old email addresses to this day is ttctkam at yahoo.com. Great, I'm gonna get a bunch of junk mail now.
I almost
But
named my first kid Harper after Harper Lee, but then
nice,
Victoria Beckham named her kid Harper, and I was
yeah,
like, "Ugh."
it's a popular name right now. One
Yeah.
of
I mean, it's a great name. If your name's Harper, it's a great name.
yeah. What else did we read? We read Frankenstein, or we're supposed to have. I didn't. Um,
It's I did read it. It's interesting.
it's not great. I mean, it is the parts that are great, but it's really not a very engaging novel to try to teach ninth graders.
No, it's not. If you've never read it, it's not what you're
Right.
expecting.
Yeah. It's a lot of. I mean, it's a lot of dealing with existential questions of creation and consciousness, and how much responsibility do you have for the things that you create, and how much does
I
God
mean,
have for us, and all of that.
yeah, in that respect, then I think it is good for high school students because really it's about angst, like
Yeah.
teenage angst, and it's just not that well written. But I mean, you know, it's Frankenstein. It's you know,
The
sold more copies than
Oh yeah. Well, and just the massive cultural cinematic world that's developed around it, and the Bride of Frankenstein, and all of that has kind of subsumed a lot of what people think of it. And
hmm.
but let's see, what else was there, Miss Banner's. Oh, then we went to the Renaissance Festival.
Yeah.
Was Miss Banner at that with us? Was that a field trip for school?
I think we went on a field trip and then made another visit or two afterwards just for fun
Yep, yep.
in costume.
In costume, of course, in costume. Why would you go out of costume? And maybe your mom made like robes for Toby and
Yes.
me, like monk
She
robes.
made you guys monk robes out of like burlap. They looked very uncomfortable.
That was before my intense dislike of the Texas heat. I'm still
Yeah.
here, but it gets very hot here. I can't imagine doing that now because I just hate as soon as I walk out in it, I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
But we're here for good. We our roots run too deep in the Dallas Fort Worth area.
Tends to happen.
All right, so let's see. Anything else we want? Oh, I do have. I'll just do the yearbook right now because I have what you wrote to me in my this must have been 7th grade or 8th grade yearbook. Dude, please don't forget me. Dude, there's so much I could say, but I can't think of anything. So bye, Lauren Dinson.
That is
Future
profound.
future author of future American author. Lauren Dinson. I love it. And for those who are like been keeping track of the podcast, I realized what happened with my senior yearbook. I didn't buy one apparently, but I did have a few people sign my copy of The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien for some reason. I guess that's when I was reading it. And so, but it's only like 6 people that I had signed that book because I read it to my daughter a couple months ago. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
that's what happened. That's why I don't have any of my senior yearbooks signatures.
I wish I had grabbed my ninth grade to see what you had written, but
Oh,
I'm
I should.
sure
I need to start asking. What
it's literally across the room, but
you can run and get it. I can cut I can cut the empty space out.
okay.
Yeah, run and get it.
All right.
That was so quick.
So weirdly enough, I found the 7th grade and ninth grade, but I don't know where the 8th grade is. So Let's look. Let's
Let's
peruse.
see. And while you're doing that, the only other thing I wanted to say about junior high was, and I think I did mention this on a previous episode to somebody else, but at one point, you and the rest of our group sensed that I was going through a rough time. My parents announced they were getting divorced right around seventh grade, end of sixth grade, into seventh grade, and so I went through a kind of a depressive patch. Not, just as people might when that happens to them. But you guys
Sure.
threw me a happy guy day party.
Oh yeah.
The best part of which was you made a video to show at the party, I think, and it was like the three of you on the bed, just like, and you had dressed really oddly. It was you, Laura, and Carmel, and my one memory of who was dressed how was Laura's hair was pulled to one side in like a side ponytail, and it was like the most awkward thing, and it just made me laugh. And
yeah, I'm pretty sure I did that to her.
Oh, 100%. And y'all were all just wearing weird stuff and just talking to the camera as if talking to me, which, that's
well,
healthy.
I mean, I guess, I remember doing that because I thought, Mark's not supposed to be sad. Mark's supposed to be happy.
Yeah, right? Yeah. He's the one thing. He's the one thing making us laugh now in this horribly awkward moment in our adolescence.
Yeah.
7th and 8th grade.
No, I mean, without getting too sentimental, I feel like our friend group really supported each other and got us through some of the rough years of junior high, especially.
100%. And it's something I'm mindful of now with having young children and like kind of just, looking at who they're making friends with and like, I just want to make sure you have good friends because I have
a list.
We were blessed with having each other. So, all right, what did I write? I'm sure this is equally as profound.
This is great. It is a full page.
Okay, all right.
And it says, to Laura, sorry about the whole name mix-up thing. I guess this means goodbye for a couple of days, and I hope we all have fun in band. Love, Mark Dye. And then something is whited out.
Awesome.
So it's addressed to Laura, not me.
You said it took up a whole page, though. Was it because I couldn't really see the page you held up? Did I just write in huge letters?
Yeah.
Oh, geez. Nice. Yeah. Okay.
It's the back cover, too.
I thought I'd just written a lot. Future American author. Nothing more thoughtful and intellectual than a 7th through 9th grade yearbook entry.
Definitely.
All right. So, for those who may not remember, you were at LD Bell just for like a trimester, right?
I was.
And then you were in marching band. You were like, no, I'm not going to do this whole thing. This is a lot. I'm going to go see Mark's best friend at Fort Worth Christian.
Yes. I transferred to Fort Worth Christian.
Which was that's actually a private school. I live right by it nowadays.
Yeah.
And my best friend Christian Tobler went there as well. So y'all weren't really, you knew each other because it's a small school, but y'all probably didn't hang around the same circles.
No, I mean, like, I would consider him an acquaintance.
Yeah. I always forget about that when I'm like,
he was way cooler than me, but,
He was what?
He was cooler than me.
Well, he was football.
Yeah, well, that was the main thing. My clearest memory from him in high school is one time I went onto the field after a game to congratulate them, and he had these contact lenses
Yes.
that were terrifying, and I had no idea, and it actually scared me.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because I was probably there with you. That we probably went to go see the same game together because I have the same memory, and I've thought about that a lot because he was like a different person on the field. I was like, oh, this is this is a different mask he's wearing or a different when you talk about code switching. And he had the contacts, and he was like all hyped up, all like violent football Christian. I was like, oh dang, normally he's such a like happy-go-lucky, funny guy. But I was like, oh, this is what this is. Okay. I don't think they won that game though. I think that's part of it.
Probably not. We lost a lot.
Okay, so let's get into your college years because here's where I don't actually know how the heck you've been in college.
I know, this is like the gap.
Yeah, so because we started the writing group, 2014 probably? Because Sally my first was born in 2014. And so she was pregnant at the time. Like I remember telling you guys about it. So it would have had to be before June of 14.
Yeah.
And so between 2004 and then we didn't really keep in contact much.
Yeah.
So
I
where'd you
know
go?
Zoe was a baby, so probably
Yeah.
2013, 2014.
So before then, so where'd you go to college?
I went
I can never remember.
to, it's as I did in high school, I kind of jumped around a little bit. I went to the University of Texas in San Antonio for 1 year
Okay.
and felt like I needed something smaller again. So I ended up at the University of the Incarnate Word, and which is also in San Antonio. My boyfriend at the time, who is still my boyfriend, um,
Does Robert know?
yeah, and yeah, he's cool with it.
Okay.
He's school across the street at Trinity. So, we went through school, and then we
Wait,
went
did you
to
just say you said Robert went to Trinity High School or
no, no, no,
university?
no, 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 Trinity University
Okay,
in San
okay.
Antonio. Yeah, and then we both went to Texas Tech to get our masters.
Okay, you did go to tech. I was thinking that. I was like, that's not right.
Yes,
But you did. Okay, so I was remembering correctly. And you got your master's in literature?
yes.
Nice.
I specialized in early British lit.
Yeah, that's the good stuff. That's the good stuff. What would that be?
Beowulf
Like Milton, John Donne?
earlier.
Oh, even earlier than that? Okay, so
Yeah,
Chaucer, Shakespeare.
that's early modern.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, what I was doing was Old English, some Middle English.
Fairy
So
Queen, probably in
yes,
there. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Spencer. Was that Spencer?
Chaucer. Hmm.
Edmund Spencer? Yeah. Look at me. I know my stuff still a little bit.
Yeah, he's a little later, but
Yeah. So actual Old English, right?
yes,
That's impressive because that's like a whole other language.
it is.
Um,
At one time I could read it, but don't ask me now.
yeah. I attempted some, I did Chaucer, Canterbury Tales a little bit in college, and I attempted to read it on my own, and I just couldn't make it through. I was like, oh, I need an actual class and professor to teach me this stuff because I just got too lost. And that's Middle English, right? That's not Old English,
Hmm. Yeah.
but which is still a different language, which is why we have a different name for it.
Yep.
But good stuff. And then did you do? You did a little bit of like adjunct teaching at some point, right?
Yeah. Um, so I was a TA at Tech, and then when I graduated, I um went and got a job at TCC, Tarrant County College, and I was an adjunct for about a year. And
Was that
I
at
also,
the Northeast campus?
yes, and
Yeah, the one by us.
I taught dual credit classes at some of the local high schools as well. I kind of traveled. It was a weird job.
Yeah, yeah. I know a little bit about that because the high school I worked in was all dual, and of course, just being a high school teacher in general, you see the dual
Mhm.
teachers. That sounds like it might be kind of a good gig, but you probably don't get paid as much.
No, 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 no.
But you have a lot of freedom, right? You can. I mean, it's
Yeah,
basically the principal has no say, or it's like you're your own thing. It's only
no.
TCC, and
Yeah, I literally would walk in, teach the class, walk
yeah.
out. And I got at Birdville High School, I got reprimanded for being in the hallway because they thought I was a student. So that was fun.
Nice. Okay, that's a compliment, though.
I mean, 10 years ago, yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
I got that. I got that a couple times. My first couple of years, I would because the teachers could cut in line at the lunchroom,
hmm.
and one of the I mean I wore a shirt and tie literally every day, but even so, one of the lunch ladies got onto me for a second, thinking I was a student because I was clean shaven at those first couple of years.
Yeah.
But I was like, all right, time to grow the beard out a little bit. Those were the days.
Yep.
I could still play. I could still play 18, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. You know, actually, the other day, a man asked me if Zoe and I, my 10-year-old daughter, if we were sisters, and I laughed like politely, like, haha. And then he goes, "No, seriously, are you?" I was like, "Dude, I'm 37 years old."
She's 10. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, hey, you never know. You never know. A lot of people have kids huge distances apart. In fact, one of my daughter's new friends from school, they've got like a huge gap. It's like 8, like all the way from I think 19 down to kindergarten.
Yeah.
What was that TV? Oh, Seventh Heaven. back in the day with Jessica Biel was the oldest daughter. They had how many? Oh, seven. I guess that would make sense. They had seven
Did
kids
they?
anyway.
7.
that was such a that was such a good show in the worst way. So
Yes.
sentimental and all right. So what else did you do at that time? I mean, I don't know. Did you work any other jobs, or were you mostly doing like once your kids were born? Were
Oh,
you more of a
well,
stay-at-home mom?
if you want my employment history,
Yeah. Let's see.
I worked at the Albertsons Deli for 7 days. Uh,
And you have written a short story about that. That sounds like
I have not yet.
oh,
No.
you need to.
I almost cut my hand off with the meat slicer.
Ugh.
So, um,
Which
and then
Albertsons?
on 183 in Bedford,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I still walk in there and it just like I get this
Shoots you back.
anxiety.
Uh huh.
I was really bad at it. And then I worked at Movie Tavern for a summer as a
Oh, okay.
waitress. I was also bad at that.
Did we? I feel like we may have like gone to a movie to see you one time, but I don't. Maybe not.
I don't know. I feel like during that time I would see you like once in a while. You'd pop up in weird
Yeah.
circumstances.
But was
I
this?
mean,
So was this during college years though? Like you came home for the summer and did it, or was
yeah,
this? Okay.
yeah. And then I was an RA for
Nice. Nice.
most of college. I let the power get to my head though.
Yeah.
And
I mean, that's
yeah,
really the only benefit of being an RA.
and besides that, I've done some photography.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, you did my headshots for my well, for nothing, for having a manuscript to send out. I was like, oh, I should. We went to that first writers conference. That was the second time you had gone, right? When I went.
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway, when I finally had my first manuscript ready, I was like, I should probably look professional. Hey, Lauren, can you come shoot me? And so I think Laura and the three of us met up at a coffee shop or something in Starbucks somewhere. I forget, and took some pictures. I still use them. I should
Oh
probably.
yeah, yeah. I remember that.
Yeah. You took one through the glass because there was like an interior wall with like glass, pane glass. So you took one through it to
Oh
get
yeah, I'm
like the
sure I
kind of
thought I was
reflection off
being
the
very
glass.
artsy.
Yes, yes. Well, and I just saw last night. In fact, this is gonna sound stupid, but anyway, you have a new profile picture on your Facebook page of like you leaning on the books. I was like,
Hmm.
that's a really good picture, and she's like a real author now, and I really need to get going on that and also get a book published. So you are definitely motivating me. You've lit a fire yet again
Well,
under my patootie.
um, and just FYI, I took that picture myself with a
Oh,
remote.
seriously?
Yeah.
Nice. I wondered too. I was like, did she get someone to do that for her, or did
No,
she just do it herself? But looks great.
I'm a DIY kind of person.
Okay, and so we keep mentioning it, but let's just go ahead and announce. So coming out August 26th.
Second,
Oh, I went the other way. I knew I was 2 days off. I keep saying 24th. So yeah, August 22nd.
yes.
Uh, Lauren Danhof's debut novel, It's Not a Cult, comes out, but you can pre-order it now on Amazon. Uh, even though
And he'll include links in the show
I will
notes.
include links in the show notes to pre-order or to order. I already have my copy pre-ordered. I have not got my free swag yet, though, so I'm just waiting on that.
It's in the mail.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
And so tell us a little bit about it, because I'm sure you've had to. I'm sure you've had to give the elevator pitch 1,000 times by now.
Yeah, and I'm still not good at it.
I know, right? It makes me sweat just like thinking about elevator
Yeah.
pitching because you can't sum up this beautiful book in just 3 sentences.
It's
You
true.
have to read
Uh,
it.
Someone pointed out to me that if you summarize anything, any book, it sounds stupid.
Oh, it does. Yeah, yeah. And we've talked about that in writing group too. It's like if I told you about Harry Potter, it would just sound like the worst idea. I mean, now it would sound like a ripoff,
Yeah.
but yeah, you
All
couldn't.
right. Well, I need to practice anyway because I need to talk about my book in the next few months. And one thing I hate is talking about myself and my work. So here we go.
All right.
Uh, so it is a book club fiction dark comedy about a woman who moves back home and her mom has joined a cult and is going to marry the cult leader. And the main character, Glenda, is trying to save her mom from the cult.
All
That's
right.
the basic premise.
and it's really good. I've read most versions of it except for the final one. I need to get the final one from you and read the manuscript. Is it in Google Drive? Have you shared the final
No.
one? Okay. Um, at this point, I always wonder if the publisher will don't put it in Google because they can steal it. Probably not.
Probably not. I don't know. I'm sure it's happened.
But she also, along the way, falls in love with a guy that worked at the Renaissance Festival. That's also
Yes.
It's got a nice romantic thread as well. So, bravo, bravo.
Yes, and it has lots of family drama, lots of snark and sarcasm, which is my favorite defense, and also my characters. So,
Yep. And that's one thing that Lauren is strongest at is voice, character voice. And as soon as
well,
she
thank
read us
you.
the very first version of the first chapter, we're like, "Oh my gosh, this is great. Don't lose the voice of this character because is it still the first chapter where she's in an interview
Yes.
where you open and so she just blunders her way through this terrible interview and it's a train wreck that runs into a dumpster fire and then from there it gets even better. So y'all should all check it out. Good stuff. Good stuff. It's not a cult. So tell us what's gone into, because we haven't really talked much in writing group about it. So you get an agent. Ideally, you get an agent interested in it. The agent represents the book and pitches it to publishers. So they're kind of like more gatekeepers of, because you can send it straight to the publisher, but it goes into a huge slush pile, and people assume it's not that great because you couldn't get an agent interested in the project.
Right. And a lot of publishers won't accept unsolicited
Right.
manuscripts.
Yeah. They
So,
don't even have the slush pile.
yeah.
It just goes into the
So
furnace.
what you've summed up in like 3 seconds, it took 3 years of my life.
Yeah.
But
Right.
yes.
And so that's the crazy thing. So just getting a manuscript written, right? Just writing 60 to 100,000 words that are coherent and good enough for your friends to be like, yeah, this is good. That's like a lifetime achievement right there. For most people, right? They don't expend the hours and energy to do that. And that's only
most people,
that's only one miracle. And then you need to get an agent interested, and then that agent, which is the next miracle, and then that agent needs to get publishers interested, which is the third miracle, and then you have to sell a bunch of copies, which would be the fourth miracle, in order to actually make a living at it. So,
yeah. I mean, I'm not putting the horse before the cart here. Wait, that's not right. Other way around.
Lauren Danhof, American author. She's got a way with words, ladies and gentlemen.
No. So, I would say that, like you said, most people don't finish writing it. So that is probably the hardest part, is actually doing it. I'm struggling with it right now in my second book. So, just finding the time in our busy lives to dedicate to it, and you have to be in the right mind space and all of that. And but then once it's done, then you have to query for an agent. And that is awful.
The debilitating part, yes.
It is rejection after rejection after rejection.
In fact, you mentioned that, and you've seen this in my office before, but I'm turning my camera to see. I have framed my first rejection letter, which
that's awesome.
It was really kind of rejection letter because it wasn't just a form letter, what you call a form letter, which is where they clearly just cut and pasted. Thank you for your submitting this book. Unfortunately, it's not the kind of project we're interested in right now. It's like, okay, well, you send that to literally everyone. But he had written, he was like, thank you for your query. It was beautifully written, but the book wasn't. Basically, it was just like, oh, you actually said it was a beautifully written query letter. So,
yeah, if an agent actually writes you some notes, that is like amazing.
Yeah.
So, I got a revise and resubmit, which is when they liked it, but it wasn't good enough and they want some changes. And so they say, revise it and send it back and I'll consider it again. And a lot of times it means they're interested and it goes well. In this case, it did not. I revised for several months. I resubmitted and promptly got rejected.
Was that for It's Not a Cult, or was that for?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Did you ever query Cthulhu?
I sure did.
Okay. And I love that. So she wrote a book originally titled Cthulhu Finds Love or something, or Goes Out for Love.
Cthulhu Steps Out.
Steps Out, that's right. And it was about the great awakening of the apocalyptic beast Cthulhu. but then he decides that he wants to find human love and becomes, it's like a meet cute
Yeah. It's a
romantic
rom-com.
comedy meets Cthulhu the Destroyer,
Yes.
which I still think you should do, and you probably won't, but
We'll see.
it was so great. It was so great. Okay, anyway.
I learned a lot writing that book.
Yeah.
So
I didn't remember you getting a revise and resubmit on It's a Cult.
I did. It was during the pandemic, and so we weren't meeting in person. But it was heartbreaking at the time. But now I look back and I'm like, if that hadn't happened, if I hadn't revised for those 3 months and followed her, she gave me so many notes
Mm-hmm.
on what she wanted changed. I wouldn't be where I am now, because it's that version that I basically got rejected, and I was like, okay, I give up. I'm going to shelve it. And then it was like August, and I texted our writing group, you and Laura and Ariane, and I said, I'm thinking about submitting Glinda one more time.
Mm-hmm.
And you all were like, do it, do it. So I did. I sent it to 5 agents. I got 2 full requests, and
Nice.
one decided she would represent me. So
That's awesome. Do you want to do a shout out to her, or at least the
Yes.
agency?
yes, my agent is Cameron McClure at Donald Moss Literary Agency. And I am, the book is being published by Alcove Press, which is a imprint of Crooked Lane books.
Nice, nice. Are they? Didn't you say they were associated with Penguin as well, or like a
That's the
subsidiary?
distributor.
Oh, okay.
It,
Okay.
It's so big and complicated,
Yeah.
but that's why those people do their
Do all of
job.
that. Yeah.
I just have to worry about writing.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you can always self-publish, which is a whole different thing, but it's like you have to do literally everything.
Yes. And I know some people who have been very successful
Yeah.
at self-publishing. I don't know anything about it, but there are resources.
Yeah. I would still suggest that the ideal is the agent, and then you have this huge network of the infrastructure already in place to,
Right.
ship out books if you can sell them.
Well, I mean, part of the problem is now that you can upload your book to Amazon at basically no cost.
Yeah.
The market is just swamped with really bad self-published books.
Right.
So distinguishing yourself and rising above all the chaos there is difficult, I have heard.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, for good and for bad. Same with podcasts. It's like it's hard for people to find this one because there's so many.
See, that's why I'm not nervous, because I'm like, 3 people are going to listen.
It's going to be Laura, Toby. It's going to be all the people who commented on my Facebook. Good times. Good times. Well, that's so awesome. So I was going to say something else about the book process. Oh, my favorite part of living vicariously through you was the cover design. Because you sent us kind of some of the concept art to just the 3 of us in the writing group, and we were like, this, and this. Oh, those colors are cool, and these aren't.
Yeah.
So I was like, just happy to see you be able, because that's, of course, most people's favorite part of like the book publishing industry is all the amazing, colorful title pages, cover pages.
It was kind of surreal. I felt kind of out of my body, I guess, when I was going through that, because I have a book cover.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful that my publisher did get some input from me. So sometimes you have absolutely no say.
Right. That is nice that they
Yeah.
gave you some. And it's hard too, as a debut author of like, you deserve your say, and you deserve to negotiate for yourself. And it's like, I would just be tempted to be like, yes, just do whatever you want.
Right?
You publish my book. But just hearing you say, yeah, we're going to negotiate for a little more of the, the initial fee or whatever, I was like, oh, that's like the real,
I
real
know,
life.
it's crazy. Yeah. And, I still suffer from imposter syndrome. We've talked about this before.
Mm-hmm.
And going through this process, you would think that would cure me of it, but no. I mean, it's still there.
Yeah. I think we both will probably deal with that for the rest of our lives.
Yes.
I was just listening to Jason Segel was on Conan O'Brien's podcast, kind of talking about that as well. Like, he still is like trying to prove his worth to people. It's like, I'll show him by doing this amazing next project. And he said one of his friends, like, who are you trying to prove it to? Like, who is them now? Like, you've made it. But it's like impossible. But I think there's a good and bad flip of the coin to that, because if you do feel like, oh, now I'm an accomplished writer and blah, blah, then you're not going to push yourself on the next project and to make that one even better and more engaging.
Yeah. No, I am the confidence is boosted a little bit, but I am not so naive to think that the next one will be smooth sailing.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. So speaking of, do you have anything you want to announce in terms of like upcoming projects or just kind of concepts of things you're working on? Or are you still just in the midst of the first release?
I'm already working on the next one because I want to make a career out of this. I don't know what that career is going to look like. And having a career in writing and making a living off of writing are two different things. Yep. So, and I think that, well, I don't know, but I am working on two different projects. One of them is about a woman who accidentally brings a 19th century ghost home with her. And then I have dabbled a little. I haven't even told you this. I have written the first couple chapters of a sequel to It's Not a Cult.
Nice. Oh, we did. You talked about it at the last meeting.
Okay. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to write that. I don't know if the world needs more It's Not a Cult. But, I have the ideas. I needed to get them out. And so, yeah.
Nice. And so now you already have a few chapters. And this is where potentially seeing some of I don't want to spoil anything from the ending of the first book. So I won't mention what plot points it might include. But yeah, from what you've told us, it would be kind of a fun little project too, especially if, It's Not a Cult sells well and, there's a market out there, a following, a community who wants more. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
I'm sure that this podcast will give you a huge bump. We call it the How the Heck Have You Been bump. You will see your numbers go up.
Okay. I'm counting on it.
I stole that joke from some other show, and now I can't remember what show I just stole it from. So,
yeah,
don't come after me. I know.
You want to talk about the reviews?
Oh yeah. Okay, so That's the other thing I was gonna mention too. Is that it's gotten pretty good reviews, and so I offered very paternalistically because we went to a writing group and you were like, oh, the reviews are starting to come in through what's the site where I have it right here.
NetGalley.
Yeah, NetGalley reviews, where they'll send out pre-reader copies for people to review and they'll start reviewing it. And I think one of the first reviews was only 2 stars or 3 stars or something.
Something like that, yeah.
And immediately I was like, Lauren, don't read the reviews. I will curate them for you. I will read through them. I will only send you the like 4 to 5 star ones or any of the positive comments from the lower ones. And you're like, okay, Mark, okay.
Yeah.
and of course you've been reading all of them. I did it for a couple weeks, and knowing that you probably were anyway, but hoping that maybe eventually. And then that was pretty funny text thread because it was to the 4 of us in the group, and I said, what did I say? Something like, you've been reading them all, haven't you? And you're like, that 2-star that didn't even read the book and didn't know what the plot was. I was like, dang it, Lauren. All right, but
no, I've heard from multiple people not to read the reviews, but they've also said that you're inevitably going to. So
yeah,
I'm getting it out of my system. You have to have very thick skin to.
You do. I mean, and after the query process of having sent it off to literally dozens, like at this point, I've sent the one full length book I have to like dozens of people, and you're just used to people not wanting to even read it.
Yeah.
And so it's like you tough it up pretty good.
But that's why.
Good.
Oh, I was gonna say that's why it's so weird when somebody emails you and says, "Hey, I want to talk about this," because you're just used to nah.
Yep.
So
it currently has, out of 39 members, still has a 4-star review, which is really strong.
But I'm not going to worry about that.
You don't need to, but it's a good sign. It's a good sign. This reviewer said an easy 5 stars. I love the relationship between Glinda and Troy and would enjoy reading more of their story. Okay. Well, she's already got some chapters banked up.
Yeah.
Glenna constantly pushing everybody away did get annoying in parts, but it was understandable why she did that. Well, of course, you have to have conflict in a character person. Come on.
No, okay, we're not going to criticize the reviewers. I appreciate all the reviewers for taking their time to review. But there are a couple reviews on Goodreads from some suspicious sounding people like a Laura D and a Mark D.
Yeah. Hey, we're just trying to help a friend out here. Just trying to help a friend out. I mean, to be honest, we have a valuable voice in reviewing your book because we've read so many versions of it. It's like, we know it's good.
Yeah. No, and reviews are very important. So my appeal to anyone listening is if you do read the book, first of all, thank you. And second, write a review and write an honest review. So.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And I liked there are some listening to some NPR interview of a author, and she said that she doesn't leave bad reviews anymore. Like she'll read it, and if she likes it, she'll write a good review, and if she doesn't, she just won't write a review. Like that's kind of my mentality. Like if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all, because I guess it's like you said, when there is such a swamped market with like so much, you do need some gatekeepers. But that can get pretty stifling pretty quick as well.
And I'm sure, like on Goodreads, that several years ago I would have written scathing reviews if I didn't like something. But now, having gone through the process and knowing how much work it takes, if something's not that good, I just don't say anything.
Okay, I feel really embarrassed. But I'll say this: it's not about books, but it's about Etsy. Because I sell on Etsy, I sell my artwork on Etsy, and now that I have, I'm looking back at this terrible, horribly mean interaction. I found the perfect necklace for my wife's, I think it was anniversary or birthday, and it was like the right color, and I ordered it, and it was like a week. I ordered it with plenty of time to get it in time, like 3 weeks early. And didn't hear back. They said it shipped, or they said we have your order. And then like a couple days before, like, oh, we no longer have this one, but would you like to order another? I was like, no. So I was so mad. And I was like, I even created a fake account to write a negative review because they wouldn't let me leave a negative review on a purchase I hadn't made, right? Like, I was like, but I need to review the shop because they are lying about what they have. And I look back on that, and I'm so embarrassed that I did that. It's one of my more shameful moments.
You
that I went to that length to be so negative. I feel bad.
No, you're one of those. You're one of those on Amazon that says, how was this pillow? And they write, I didn't receive this. Great review.
All right. Well, why? Then why are you writing about it? Yeah. Okay. Well, we're getting close to the hour mark, and we still have a couple things to do. I do have a quiz for you, as all my guests, and I'm excited about it. But first, I have a prepared statement that I want to read. This is, you mentioned not wanting to get sentimental earlier, but I will anyway. So, Lauren, because of your steadfast commitment to writing and our friendship, I am sincerely grateful and better for having known you. You are one of the hundreds of kind, generous, and benevolent people I know in a world where we need every single one we can get, because so many will leave negative Etsy reviews or book reviews. So keep being awesome, doing awesome things, and writing awesome books.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Back at you. For
realsies. Okay, but we still have I have a quiz to give you. Now, your book is called It's Not a Cult. How much do you know about cults?
All right, let's do this.
This is 10 questions. You have 7 seconds to respond. And if you don't respond in time, you will lose the point. What is it called? Number 1, when the loved ones of a cult member arrange to have that person kidnapped away from the cult and retained for cult-free life. Multiple choice. 1, A, decultification, B, deprogramming, or C, re-education.
I'm going to go with B.
Correct, deprogramming. It's a controversial activity that isn't always successful, according to this online quiz. Number 2, how many people died in the People's Temple Jonestown Massacre? A, 918, B, 1,212, or C, 233?
That's A.
Nice. It's the worst cult-based massacre in U.S. history. That's a lot of people. 918 people.
It is a complex and terrifying and tragic story, but you are looking at the queen of true crime podcasts. So
There you go.
I'm
All
gonna
right.
ace
This
this
should be a
thing.
breeze. So you're 2 for 2. Number 3. This is the easy one. What cyanide-laced substance was given to the People's Temple members to facilitate the Jonestown Massacre?
Flavor Aid.
Yes. This says grape Kool-Aid, but you probably are
No,
correct. This is probably
it
wrong.
was
Yeah.
Flavor Aid.
All right. Was it grape Flavor Aid at least?
I believe so.
Okay. The incident gave rise to the phrase "drinking the Kool-Aid," often used to mean believing in something because someone told you to.
Yes.
I don't think I realized those two were connected, but it's obvious on retrospect.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Leo Ryan was shot by People's Temple guards while attempting to investigate Jonestown. What government position did he hold?
He was the governor of California.
Yes, congressman. No, congressman.
Oh,
Congressman.
I'm sorry. Sorry.
That's close enough. You would have gotten it if I read the multiple
Yeah.
choice. U.S. ambassador.
That's what I get for jumping ahead and
There
trying
you
to be
go.
a know-it-all.
Well, because I didn't give you the multiple choice on the last one because I thought you'd know it. He's the only member of the House of Reps to be assassinated while in office. That's crazy.
Yes. Yeah.
That's surprising. There have been a couple attempts, but what federal agency conducted the final assault on the Branch Davidian compound in Waco, Texas in 1993?
All right.
Do you already know it?
Multiple choice me.
Okay. A, the Department of Homeland Security. B,
No.
the FBI. Or C, the National Guard.
Oof. I think it's B.
It is, yeah. I knew this one because I remember people mentioning it as a. Wasn't it kind of like controversial that they did it?
Oh yeah.
But it burned to the ground. Right? Like after they did it, they burned everything, or they burned it to the ground, or the cult did.
There's debate on that.
On what started the fire?
It is widely believed that the Branch Davidians set the fire
Because they raided it.
Yeah.
Ugh, creepy. Okay, we're halfway done. Number 6.
Okay.
Who was the leader of the Branch Davidian cult? A. Francois David, B. David Koresh, or C. Lucas David Davidson?
B.
Correct. David Koresh, who was born Vernon Howell, took over the cult in the 80s. Number 7. What terrorist attack was conducted on the anniversary of and inspired by the Branch Davidian Waco raid? I did not know this one. Do you know it?
Oklahoma City bombing.
Yes, it was. I thought it was one of the choices was Columbine.
No.
Because I know they were all into something. That was something else.
It was loosely related to the Oklahoma City bombing, but it was after.
Oh, so it's like a chain of. Okay, yeah. Correct. It was targeted building. Yeah, we know that. All right. The Heaven's Gate cult committed suicide, believing they'd be transported onto a spaceship traveling behind what comet in 1997? A. Swift-Tuttle, B. Hale-Bopp, or C. Halley's Comet?
That would be B.
Yes. The astronomers that Hale-Bopp is named after probably wish the comet had become famous for some other reason. Poor Mr. Hale and Mrs. Bopp, whoever they are. What notable footwear were the Heaven's Gate cultists all wearing when they killed themselves? A. Birkenstock sandals, B. Brand new Nike sneakers, or C. Wolverine work boots?
That would also be B.
Yeah. Which I had never heard of that. Why were they? That is a weird. This thing says that the media focused on at the time, which it's like, yeah, why were they all wearing brand new sneakers?
Well, because there are crime scene photos that are creepy as hell of these people stretched out with shrouds on, and they all have white sneakers.
But you can see like shiny white
very
sneakers
weird.
that they didn't crease. All right. What method did the Rajneeshpuram cult use to try and win county elections? I believe this was in Oregon, I think.
Okay.
All right. A, they threatened county election officials who counted the ballots. B, they registered to vote dozens of times each using fake identities. Or C, they invited thousands of homeless people to move to their city. It's final question. It's a doozy.
Oh, man. I'm not sure.
You're 9 for 9.
Well, okay, like all the answers have been B, so I'm going to go with A.
Incorrect. It was C. You're right that
Really?
it wasn't B, but it was C. It was C. Yeah, they invited thousands of homeless people to move to their city.
See, that seemed too crazy to.
I know, right? Too crazy even for a cult. What a dark topic. that we,
Yeah.
but we've gotten into it a lot in our writing groups because you're writing a whole thing about a cult. And
True.
you and I have both talked about how we'll go down rabbit holes sometimes, and because I read about, I think it was Austin, the ice cream shop in Austin,
Yes.
where they found like all these women's bot. I don't. Anyway, we probably shouldn't get into the details,
Do
but
you want? It was four, I believe, teenage girls, and it was they still don't know.
who did it?
Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
and it
they
happened
were
like right after it
robbed.
closed, and
Yeah, they were robbed and tied up, and then the building was set on fire.
yeah, it's ugh. I don't remember what I
And
think.
and
Go ahead.
maybe I should not advertise so much that I know all of this.
Well, I mean, it is. You know, my wife even yet the other day was listening to her true crime podcasts. It's a big thing. I need to get into them. I actually don't. I listen to too much politics and culture war stuff, and I don't
Well, that
really
just
need
makes
to.
me upset.
I know, me too. So I should
I
probably
mean,
get into
true
like true
crime
crime.
makes me upset too, but in a different way.
Yeah, because it's like you can't control that. You can somewhat have, you have some say in politics and the culture war, but
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I think we're attracted to morbid things, and it's like when you can't stop looking at a car wreck
yep.
because we are programmed to look and to try to see, okay, how am I different than that, and how can I survive
Hmm.
if I'm in that situation? And I mean, that's my take, but
Yep. Well, that'll be good for the sales of your book, which is also has the morbid cult atmosphere. Although it's a funny and fun book, so it's not like a darker cult. I mean, there are dark aspects to it, but Glinda's sisters, is a boyfriend. They're not married, right?
right.
Yeah, is a believer in Sasquatch and Bigfoot, and so there's a whole section where they're talking about that and stuff. So it's more fun, lighthearted cult material.
Yes.
So I'm excited. Okay, you do need to share the manuscript with me because I promise I pre-ordered it already, but
All
I want
right.
to read it ahead of time because it's been a while since I've actually proofread stuff. Oh, and then we should probably also give a shout out to the Writers Workshop,
Yes.
which is, I'm blanking on the official name.
The DFW Writers Workshop.
That's what I thought, but for some reason that sounded wrong to me. The DFW Writers Workshop, which meets in Euless, kind of a halfway point between Dallas and Fort Worth, kind of right over there by where we all grew
Yes.
up. Toby lives
And
over there. And
yeah, and for anybody who writes or wants to write and get published, I cannot stress enough getting a critique group
mm-hmm.
and attending workshops and critique groups, because I wrote some really bad stuff before I started attending. And, I feel like everybody that walks in kind of thinks that their stuff is the best thing anyone's ever read. And then you get torn down
Yep.
and built back up.
And that's
Sounds
what
like
that's what I have to tell students who want me to read their fiction. I'm like, okay, I haven't read the first word yet. You're not going to like what I have to say because you're 15. You're not a good writer yet. I mean, you may have a lot of talent and potential, but what you are writing right now is most likely, not great. I'm going to give you a lot of feedback. I'm going to make a lot of suggestions, right? Because you need it. And if you still want me to, I will. But it won't feel good.
We didn't even get to my bad high school writing.
Oh yeah, no, we'll do. Yeah, let's add a little. And I can even cut it back into earlier before the
Okay.
quiz. But before we do that, yeah. So the Writers Workshop, the way it works is it's about 2.5 hours, and you get 10 minutes of read time, and you can read whatever you're writing. It could be fiction, nonfiction,
15.
poetry.
But who's counting?
What'd you say?
15 minutes, but who's counting?
Did they change it? I would have
No.
sworn it was 10.
No,
It's
you have up
15
to
and then 5?
15 minutes and then 5 minutes. Well, you have 20 minutes total.
Oh,
So,
okay, that's what it is. Yeah. So,
yeah.
most people will take 15 to read what they've written, and then you can't talk as people critique it, right? Unless the people say ask you a question and you need to answer just for clarification.
Right.
But because they don't want you defending it. Oh well, what I meant was what I was going for. It's like no.
Yeah.
Here's what you read, and if I had just read this, here's what I would say is wrong with it. And it is really powerful. That and also just the networking effect as well, right? Because
Yes.
all the people there know other writers who have gotten published. They know the industry.
Yeah.
They can give you advice.
I have turned to lots of people
Mhm.
there for advice in this whole process.
Yep, I need to start going again. It's been way too long. And now that I'm
You missed the Valentine's Day potluck.
I do. It is on my list to start to sign back up and start going, because that's when I had my biggest windfall for my writing, was going to the writers convention, which the Writers Workshop puts on once a year, and you get to go and you pay for the ticket, and that includes pitching to agents. But if you're a member of the workshop, it also includes a cocktail hour the Friday before, where you just literally are mingling with dozens of agents who publish books. And so I met a guy there who was also a high school teacher. My book was a satire of public school system. So we kind of connected. And then at the end of the conference, he asked for a full manuscript, which is the first time that had ever happened.
Yeah.
And he ended up turning it down, but he wrote me like the most amazing rejection letter, because it had like 6 full paragraphs, and he had read the book through twice and gave me all these notes on it. And so...
Yeah. Oh, I love it when they're like, I was teetering, I couldn't decide, but I'm going to pass.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's worse than just a form letter almost.
Yeah.
I know you think you're giving us hope, but that's when I realized, oh, this is how this can work. Although for you, that's not. For you, it was really just a cold query. It was like an unsolicited, you send it off to an agent and they liked it. So that can happen too.
Yeah, it can.
So the important thing is keep putting yourself out there, people. See what the universe sends back your way. All right, so let's read extra credit bonus section. You have some of your previous writing from high school.
Yeah, I am not going to hold back. Okay.
Wait. Before you do that, I have a folder right here of old stuff too. So let me, as you're doing that, I'll look through what I have in the folder and see if there's anything gold.
So what I thought I would do is read the opening lines to some novel projects that I started in high school, so that everyone could see just how amazing I am.
All right, I'm ready.
Okay, so I'm reading the opening to a couple of these, and the genius is just dripping off every word. Okay. One morning, I awoke and found that I was no longer familiar with my surroundings. And then it just goes on and on and on about, like, my bed was in the same place. My wardrobe was in its place as well. The door was slightly ajar. In fact, nothing in the room was placed incorrectly. Just me.
Yes. Now, do you remember what grade this was?
No.
Somewhere between 7th and 9th.
Junior or senior year.
Yeah. Oh, junior or senior of high school?
Yeah. Oh, and okay, this next one's great. A dog tore my throat out when I was 3, and I watched it happen.
And I watched it happen? Is that what does that even mean? I want to know more.
I saw the whole thing as though I were a cat perched on the eaves of the house. Below, I could see the freshly cut lawn.
Oh, God. Was this a dream sequence, Lauren?
What?
Was this a dream sequence?
No.
It sounds like she's dreaming, too. Then you're going to wake up, and it was all a dream.
So I remember this because the main character is mute because a dog tore out her throat.
Oh, my gosh. This is too much.
Okay, next. Man is a work in progress, whether to his own discovery or to his destruction. He is quick to think but slow to reason, eager to feel and hesitant to release any of his feelings to the bitter wind of time.
Oh, yes. That had some structural parallelism. That was good. I mean, that had some promise until the bitter wind of time.
Yes.
Love it.
It was very profound.
Greatness.
All right, one more. All right. Once upon a time. Wait. Oh, yeah, okay. Once upon a time, there lived 2 brothers and a sister. The oldest boy was called Victor. The girl called Rustica. And the
you know it'll add a little zest is a foreign sounding name.
And the youngest son was named Innocentius. Victor and Rustica's mother had died giving birth to the girl. The mother and unborn child were buried together under a fig tree.
Under a fig tree. That's very folk tale-y.
Yeah.
Rustica and Innocentia. This is we were taking a page out of Edgar Allan Poe's name the characters Fortunato, but they're not fortunate. Your character is Innocentia, but they weren't innocent. I guess
Oh
they were
man,
because they died early.
it's all so bad.
I have our I've got to find it before I let you go because I have our journal from middle school with the ducks and with Christina's duckies, Fred the Frog, and the Happy Acid. Yeah, I have got that book too somewhere.
Yeah.
We wrote I think you were actually copying me. Remember I wrote the blender story of the lizard in the blender and the kitten in the oven.
Yeah, yeah.
And I thought it was being so funny and shocking that this cute
Right.
children's
Yes,
story.
that was the phase of thinking that shock humor was funny.
Which
Followed
at that
by
time,
random
this was the
humor.
late 90s, and it was like at its heyday. South Park had just come out. And all right, hold on. Let me go find that journal. Hold on.
Okay.
Okay, I couldn't find that, but I did find my children's stories. And on the back, we have Quabbling Quotes. It doesn't make sense, but it sounds cool, is the title of this book.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. It's not that I hate you, it's that I don't love you.
Oh.
Profound. If you wanted to make somebody mad, you could plan an elaborate plan to kill his firstborn son. Then he would go into a state of depression. Then that would lead to anger. Then you tell them that you killed their son, and he would be mad at you. That or just flip him off. It's really good. Nice. It's really funny, Mark. Really funny. If you're ever in need of money, try not to get robbed. That's not bad. That's not bad. That at least has a little twist. Oh, here's Lauren. Yep. Here's one from Lauren. Don't leave mayonnaise out in the sun. That's how babies are made. Yes.
See, it's still funny.
It is still funny. You actually had a good one there. Here's one of Laura's. May I help you? Laura.
But she actually said that.
She did a lot. This was Catlin. Why talk when you can scream?
Yeah.
That's good. As Carmela, we said, I hope the murderer only has one head. Don't know that one. This was also Carmel's. Don't confuse the stupid people. Yeah. Don't confuse the stupid people. Here's one of my nuggets here. I smell good about myself. I like that one. That's kind of clever. It takes one to hear one. Right there. Yeah. There's a little variation on a theme. Here's one from the TV show Friends. When you're cleaning your ears, stop when there's resistance. That's still one of the best lines of that whole show. Shut up and moo, Carmel.
So the best line in all of this we stole from
from Friends. And then Christian Tobler, since I mentioned him, this is funny. The only people in here that we've mentioned. Man who stand on toilet is high on pot. That's a good one. He got that from an online website of some kind. Oh, good times. And then the stories were Chapter 1, Luke the Lizard and the Shiny Blender, which of course ends up with him getting blended. The end, and then Frank the Fish, and Frank the Fish has fun with electricity. That was a good one. He got electrocuted and then eaten by a shark. This was, I mean, it's not bad illustrated. Look at this little fish I drew with green skin.
You've always been, see, Mark is the artist. I am not.
I still hesitate to call myself one.
As you can see, Mark, from
There's a cute little frog. It's got those big eyes.
It's not. It looks like a 3-year-old drip. But, Fred the Frog and the Happy Acid. Fred gets liquefied and turned into face cream.
Oh, yeah.
And then I have Harry the Strand of Hair. And
so dumb.
He gets cut with a pair of scissors.
Let's see. This is... I can't tell if it's just my microphone or if it's the recording because it sounds like staticky. I had Pete the Pig and the Farmer Brown. I forgot how much. Oh, this one was actually funny. Okay, so it was Pete the Pig and Farmer Brown. Once there was a pig and a farmer. They loved each other. Oh, no. I thought that was the end. I thought I was being clever and making it end happily. But Farmer Brown was hungry and ate the pig. Dead pig, blood, yum. Chapter 4, Katie the Cat and the Pretty Oven. Okay, that was just terrible.
Yeah.
The end. I think you wrote some of this.
No, I didn't.
Yes, look at this handwriting. This is you. You did, yeah, look at this. Okay, so this is my handwriting.
The chicken scratch, yeah.
Okay, and then this is clearly your above the girl.
Oh, that sure is.
That sure is. And then you wrote the end. And you wrote the last part of it.
See, yeah. It
was a collaboration.
Right, we need to collaborate on a book.
Oh, Death of a Mime. This is yours. These are your drawings.
Oh, yeah.
By Lauren.
They are.
And it's just pictures of her head getting larger and larger and exploding. We should collaborate. This whole segment has convinced me that we need to collaborate on a book.
I mean, together, what could we create?
We should, and I wanted to in our writing group, because I started to. You wrote a little bit of the like holiday themed saints. I wanted to do a kind of more realistic magic, like kind of dark magical series of like Saint Nicholas, Saint Valentine. You did one of the pumpkin. Remember, you wrote the beginning of that. That would be good. I still think we should. Let's do it.
All right.
It'll be born of this podcast.
Okay.
Well, I think I've taken too much of your time. I do appreciate it. I hope you enjoy the How the Heck Have You Been bump in sales, or at least pre-orders. This episode will come out the end of May, and then so you still have June and July to pre-order the book before it comes out, and you should do that. Or if you're listening later after August of 2023, you should go on Amazon and buy it right now. Or where else can you buy it? I guess bookstores, right?
Yeah, you can buy it from pretty much any major retailer, or you can request your local bookstore carry it if they are not carrying it,
or library.
Yes.
Yeah.
And thank you for having me, and thank you for starting that writing group 10 years ago, because I wouldn't be here. Well, I mean, I'd be here.
You'd still be alive. It's not like we didn't stop you from killing yourself. We never swooped in and saved you.
Nor would I expect you to. Right. So, and I look forward to reading your book when it comes out, because it will.
I'm convinced it will. I'm going to power through and try to get a queryable, which is a weird word to say, manuscript by the end of this school year, and just start sending it off.
Yep.
All right. Well, thanks, Lauren. I'll see you in probably 2 weeks for the next writing group. Thanks for coming on the podcast, and it has been a pleasure.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye. All right. As promised, a short, brief little ad about an awesome product that I've got on sale from artbymarker.com. This is the full deck of cards. I did hand-drawn detailing for every heart, club, diamond, spade, face card that you see. These things are printed on 310 GSM linen, so this is casino quality. It's as nice as you'll find anywhere. And if you want to buy a deck, it will really help support this show, because I'm just doing this for funsies and throwing it out there into the universe. So that can be found at artbymarker.com. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. All right, that was the show. Thanks for listening, everyone. Today's episode was recorded by Mark Dye. Our editor is Mark Dye, and he is also the executive producer. The intro and outro music was composed by Mark Dye in high school. It's really just me doing this. To support the How the Heck Have You Been podcast, visit artbymarker.com and buy some cool art. Thanks, y'all.